30 pages on some grammatical concept like a direct object pronoun or something. But the language of the book is the authentic 16th century Spanish that they spoke, the conquistadors spoke. But when Aztecs were speaking, that didn't seem right. And so I used the modern, most universal type of language that I try to teach in my class with a few Mexicanisms, like instead of sandalias for sandals, like huaraches. And so that's what you're going to hear in the next scene here, when Cortez is deliberating with his captains over what to do, to go home with the gold down or stay and try to find more.
Todos nosotros, por amor divino, habíamos. No es tiempo que nos tengamos a oír más cosas. Alguno de estos salvajes del demonio. En una palabra, os los diré, es la hora de atacar. Enviad vuestras espadas, e ir contra estas criaturas de mal antes de que nos encierren en la ciudad. Pues para llegar ser tarde, e ir vuestras mercedes, que no tendremos la menor oportunidad de escaparnos de tan maligno lugar. No os pongáis tontos en desmacia. Os los he repetido. Vosotros sabéis que las calzadas en la ciudad nos pueden ser cortadas fácilmente, impidiéndonos de la salida.
Disculpadme, mi osadía, capitán general, pero os ruego que miráis la realidad. ¿Qué posibilidad tenemos de llegar a cabo hazaña tan atrevida como es la captura de un gran emperador en su propio palacio? Recordad que Montezuma tiene más de 200 soldados en su guardia que habitan en sus aposentos al lado del sur. ¿Cómo podremos hacer tal cosa sin llamar la atención de ellos? Esto es un suicidio. Propongo regresar a España con el oro que ya encontramos, que todos sabemos es bastante.
¡Silencio! Os advierto que debáis tener cuidado con las palabras que queráis proferir en el futuro. Os puede causar carne. No sois vos quien vendráis a imposibilitar la gloria de España. Por no ser caballero, ni intentarlo ser. No tenéis el valor de luchar por el señorío de vuestra patria. Entended todas vuestras mercedes. Todas vuestras mercedes. Que los ánimos, las almas naturales de estos sitios nunca están quietos, por salvajes sean. Escúchame bien. Sobre los sitios. Esta razón es muy importante. Es menester tener entendimiento. Entendimiento para saber conduciros como caballeros de valor y acierto. Si oyéramos ahora, todo lo que hemos hecho ya conocería. Con todo esto, hago saber a vuestras mercedes que hemos conquistado esta nueva tierra en nombre de Dios y nuestro rey. Regresaremos a España, solo cuando nuestros baúles estén rebasantes de oro y también haber cumplido el trabajo que el Dios nos ha encomendado a hacer. Además, no olvidéis el lealtad que habéis jurado a España. El oro, ¿entiendes?
So Cortez decides to kidnap Montezuma in his own palace and start calling the shots from there and accumulating more gold. And Cortez, who has spies all along the coast, finds out that his enemies have come from Cuba. He promised the governor of Cuba that he would give him 20%, and he decided to cut out the middlemen and start sending the gold directly to Spain. And so the governor of Cuba, he sends his soldiers to the east coast and decides to try to come inland and to attack. But Cortez, like I said, found out about it, and so he decides to go get them before they come to get him. And so in the middle of the night, they start attacking. And that night there were several fireflies out that night. And they had a makeshift rifle at that time, even in 1519. Not very sophisticated, not very accurate, but you can pretty much put anything you want in it. You can put in glass, rocks, whatever, and you had to light like a wick to make it go off to discharge. So they thought that there were several soldiers lighting the wick of their rifles and shooting. And so Cortez, though, he's pretty smart. Instead of capturing and killing everybody, what he decides to do is just kidnap the leader and make everybody else his allies. So at that point, his army grows. And then when he returns to Mexico, instead of receiving celebration like he usually did when he came to the city, everything was silent. So he walks across the bridge. As soon as they get across the bridge, though, these were drawbridges. They drew up the drawbridges. And he gets inside where his quarters were, next to the temples here. And he decides to capture some Aztec priests, and which he decides to burn alive. And the next scene you're going to see is one of the dialogues I created, in which Cortez and the priest have a little discussion over what just happened.
Hernan, what you have done is unforgivable. There is no excuse.
But Father, those pagan dogs got the punishment they deserve. Those treacherous and sinful Indians. What I did to them will make sure that they will never dare attempt such a treacherous and sinful act again.
You let yourself be guided by your impulses, and not your duty as a Christian. You have committed a sin by breaking the 5th commandment of God, which states, "Thou shalt not kill." I assure you that you will be reprimanded by a higher power than I can deal with. Jesus Christ, upon giving up his life for us, gave us a new law based on forgiveness, redemption, and love and compassion toward all other human beings. You cannot pretend that you are blind and unaware of this. The New Testament is clear in its doctrine.
But please try to understand my wife's fault. The order that I gave was executed by my men, and my one single purpose, to aid you in your grand mission of Christianization. These Indians will not easily accept our doctrines. Believe me, that not only words will suffice to bring God to these lands. Furthermore, may I remind you, Father, that it was God in the other testament who said in his own voice the sentence for the pagan nations. Read the Bible, Exodus chapter 23, verses 22 and 23. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I shall be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall come before thee, and bring thee unto Amorites, Hittites, Hezronites, Canaanites, the Hivite, and the Jessupite, and I will cut them up.
Hear me out,
And
Hernan.
all I have done, all in accordance with what God has wanted, all to protect his people. And look how we are blessed by it.
Hear me out, Hernan. We need to carry out God's law not only through words, but more importantly, through our actions. How can you proclaim that our God is love and kindness when you are mercilessly cruel to these poor people? And you force them to witness the execution. If you continue using such brutal tactics, never will they convert with all their hearts.
Those priests were cunning, bloodthirsty, evil sorcerers. Do you not doubt that if we were in Spain, the Inquisition would have carried out the same sentence?
Don Hernan, I'm going to tell you the great truth, but you must promise that once I tell you, you'll forever keep this to yourself.
You have my absolute discretion, Father.
My son, the devil is astute, and conceals himself in the most unlikely places. In this case, even religion, posing himself as the Almighty.
From what you say, you do not agree wholeheartedly with the actions of the Church in Spain. But you also mean to say that the actions of the saintly Inquisition are somehow influenced by the devil himself?
What I want to say is, we need to have the purity of God in our hearts in order to reject the devil's wishes. Jesus Christ stated that we are all brothers. and all people, Negroes, Jews, Indians, even the Moors, then arrive at heaven's gates.